Soap operas are all about drama and entertainment. But sometimes, they really hit us where it hurts. We've laughed, we've cried, often both at the same time. One of the reasons we love soaps so much is because they tackle real-life issues, like mental health, in a way that resonates deeply with the viewers. Most of them get the help they need in time, but some slip and it's too late to help. So today, we'll be looking at 10 soap opera characters who have taken their own lives. Let's dive right into it.
Hey everyone, welcome to TrendStreet.
Storm Logan from Bold and the Beautiful was one of the troubled men who got a tragic ending on screen. Storm was first introduced back in 1987 as Beth and Stephen Logan's son. He was always the protective older brother, constantly worrying about his sisters, Katie, Brooke, and Donna, and his mother. He especially cared more about Brooke's knack for getting into trouble and Beth's relationship with Eric Forrester. Then in 2008, Storm fell hard for new hire Ashley Abbott after Brooke set them up. But then, she found out he shot Stephanie and called it off. Desperate to prove he had changed, Storm went to Ashley's home with the same gun he had used to shoot Stephanie. Things went wrong when the gun mistakenly went off and shot Katie. When Bridget Forrester informed the family that Katie would die without a heart transplant, guilty Storm started reminiscing all their childhood memories together. So, he wrote a letter on a hospital notepad and made the ultimate decision to donate his heart for the transplant. Overrun with guilt, and knowing that this could save his sister, Storm reached for his gun and shot himself in the head. The entire family was devastated by Storm's death, but Katie saw his actions as cowardly. Katie continues to live with her brother's heart, a painful reminder of her brother. Vanessa Prentiss, portrayed by K.T. Stevens, was the mother of Lance and Lucas, who joined Young in the Restless back in 1972. In 1981, Vanessa received the devastating news that she only had 2 months to live due to a terminal illness. Keeping this to herself, she also held on to the secret that Lance was the father of Leslie's baby, Brooks Prentiss, for over 2 years. When Lance returned to town with his fiancée, Vanessa managed to sabotage his engagement and rekindle his romance with Lori. Vanessa then plotted to push Lori down the stairs, but changed her mind. Instead, she lied to Lance that Lori was still seeing Lucas. This lie caused Lance to break up with Lori and move towards Leslie. As her health declined, Vanessa continued to scheme against Lori. She even faked a letter to herself, signing it with Lori's name. Then, Vanessa staged a fight with Lori and then threw herself off a balcony, framing Lori for her murder. Carrie Reynolds, played by Sherry Somm, was around in One Life to Live from 2001 to 2003 until her tragic death. After Carrie's lies about faking her own and her kid's death came to life, it shook her up real bad. She went from hating Antonio to wanting a future with him. She tried hard to convince him to leave his new girlfriend, Jessica Buchanan, for her and their child Jamie. When Antonio refused, Carrie banned him from seeing Jamie and started stalking Jessica. She even broke into Antonio's apartment and hurt Jessica's kitten. After Antonio sternly warned her to stop, Carrie beat herself up and then falsely accused him of assault. Her mental state kept deteriorating, and eventually, she was found dead after a deadly fall from her apartment balcony. Antonio was initially charged with her murder, but during the trial, it came out that Carrie had actually committed suicide. Matt Clark, last portrayed by Rick Hurst, was brought in as a guy Sharon had dated and who hated Nick in Young and the Restless. Because Sharon chose Nick over him, he was so full of revenge that he ended up beating Nick and then raping Sharon. While he was thought to be dead at first, in 2001, he came back again with a new face and identity as Carter Mills. He tried to assault Sharon again but failed. Then his own accomplice, Tricia McNeil, deliberately crashed their car, landing Matt in the hospital. While there, Matt pulled out his own breathing tube, just so he could frame Nick for his murder. He also confessed to Nick that he had raped Sharon, causing Nick to fear that Sharon's pregnancy might be the result of Matt's assault. Tragically, Sharon later miscarried, but it was confirmed that the baby was Nick's, not Matt's. Ken George from Ryan's Hope had a terminal disease and was bedridden in his final days. He didn't want to live anymore. So he managed to get pills brought to his room to end his life, but they were thrown away. After suspicions arose that Jillian had mercy killed him, it was eventually revealed that he had dragged himself out of bed to get the thrown-away pills. The situation played out as a mystery with a potential mercy-killing twist, before it was ultimately uncovered as a suicide. Craig Field was a character from Melrose Place, played by David Charvet. He was the son of Arthur Field, who later fell in love with Sydney Andrews, and they teamed up to start their own ad agency to compete with Amanda Woodward's. Tragically, at their outdoor wedding, Sydney was hit and killed by a car, sending Craig into a deep depression. He found some comfort with Jennifer Mancini, and they started a relationship. However, Craig's unfaithfulness ended things between them, and his problems just kept piling up. In the end, he just could not move on from Sydney's terrible death, and Craig took his own life by shooting himself. Naomi Vernon, played by Terry Keane, from One Life to Live, was the mother of Samantha and Bradley Vernon. During her final days, Naomi was already giving hints that her mental health was not at the right place, and was considering killing herself. She was also getting very jealous of her husband, Dr. Will's, relationship with his secretary, Jenny Wolek. So, in an attempt to gain her husband's attention and some sympathy, she decided to fake suicide attempt, thinking her family would save her in time. But sadly, things went sideways when she actually overdosed on her sleeping pills. Her dead body was later found by her son, Brad. Dr. Leah Joplin was Skylar's mom in One Life to Live. Todd found out that when Skylar was a teenager, he had stolen drugs from Landview Hospital, and Dr. Joplin had covered it up. When Todd confronted her, she felt guilty about the whole thing and gave in to his demands to protect her career. However, things took a dark turn when Jessica Buchanan had a stillborn daughter due to Rh disease. Believing she had missed a simple diagnosis that led to the newborn's death, Dr. Joplin was overwhelmed with guilt and shot herself in her office, dying in December 2008. Mike Marshall from Another World committed suicide by shooting himself after losing his fortune due to being cheated. Before Another World spin-off, Texas, released in 1980, his character's suicide was featured on an episode. Despite being based in Houston, the characters associated with Mike became part of Texas, not Bay City, where he was unknown. Following his death, the Marshall family became central to Texas' storyline. George Rollins from Young and the Restless, portrayed by Jonathan Farwell back in the late 80s, was a big tech businessman. He was married to Cassandra Hall, who Paul liked. Paul and Cassandra were having an affair behind George's back. Cassandra loved him and was ready to dump George. She even asked George for a divorce to be with Paul, but that gave George a heart attack. While George was in the hospital, doctors told him he had a terminal illness. Once he got better, he was all about payback against Paul and Cassandra. But in a messed-up revenge move, George set up a big fight with Paul in front of Victor Newman. Later, he planned to get himself killed and frame Paul for it. After his death, it was revealed that George hired Adrian Hunter to kill him. Although soap operas are advocates for mental health, they have always been careful when it comes to someone killing themselves. It's mostly shown either off-screen or as a failed attempt. These 10 are the ones we can remember. Do you remember any other characters who've taken their own lives? Let us know in the comments below.
Thank you for checking this video out. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for new videos every day. Turn that bell notification on if you want to hear from us, and comment down below if you've subscribed, and we'll make sure to reply and thank as many of you as we possibly can.